Hi and welcome. In this video I will be demonstrating how to configure a router, a Cisco router, as a dhcp server using the command line interface. Um, the programs I'm going to be using to do this particular activity are Cam Studio, which is a free program and a free download that allows you to record whatever you're doing on your screen. The second program I'm going to be using is the Cisco Packet Tracer program offered by the Cisco Netcad site. To give you an idea as to why dhcp is a really neat feature to use on certain networks, what dhcp does is it simplifies management of IP addresses, and most of the time you only need to configure or update a single central router when the IP configuration parameters change, instead of having to visit every single device or every single PC to configure those changes. When configuring DHCP on a router, there's 8 different steps, and those steps are creating the address pool, specifying the network or the subnet, excluding different IP addresses, specifying the domain name, specifying the DNS server, setting the default gateway, setting the lease duration, and verifying the configuration. Really quick, the Packet Tracer program does not support setting the lease duration at this time. That might change in the future, but all the other steps I will be covering. And to get started, as you can see here, we got our a network here. We have some routers, some switches, a couple of customer, server, and an ISP server, and then we have our workstation PCs. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get a console cable going from the customer workstation over to the 1841 customer router. And the reason being is because if you don't have some type of connection from the workstation to the router, you're not going to be able to access the terminal that configure it as a DHCP server. And then from here we'll want to left click on the customer workstation and then go into the desktop tab. I hope you guys can see that okay. And then we'll go into terminal. And then as a side note, I've mentioned this on some of my other videos, most of the time, as long as it's a Cisco device, all the commands inside of the terminal are going to be basically the same. And as long as you have a hyperterminal program installed on a PC, you are able to configure a router or a switch if you have the appropriate cables and cables connected to the device that you're configuring. In this example, we used a console cable. So once we're in the terminal, we'll want to hit enter, and then this is asking for my password. Now we are at the user executive mode. There isn't a lot you can do here except for like pinging different things or using the tracer or the traceroute command to make sure the packets are being sent from one place to another. There's also a few more things you can do here, but it's limited because in this command or this particular line or mode, you can see how the device is functioning, but you can't perform any changes unless you go into user privilege mode. And to do that, you can type in EN for enable, or you can type out the whole thing if you want. It's asking for my password again, and from here we are now in privileged executive mode, and you can make changes such as message of the day, banners, passwords. But in order to configure the router as DHCP, we will want to go into global mode, and to do that we type in conf space T, or you can type in configure terminal. That's what conf T stands for, and then hit enter. And the first thing you're going to want to do is going back to the steps, you want to create an address pool, and we're going to exclude the first 40 IP addresses So the range that we're going to be using is the 192.168.1.1 all the way up to 192.168.1.49. And to exclude those IP addresses, we can type in IP space dhcp space excluded dash address space, and then we can go 192.168.1.1 space 192 192.168.1.49, and that's basically saying, okay, well, anything between these two numbers, the first 40 of them are going to be excluded, and then we can go ahead and hit enter. And then that would be creating the address pool. Now we need to create the dhcp pool, and to do that we can type in IP space dhcp pool, and this is saying, okay, well, here's the pool, and then you have to give it a name, so we're going to name this pool 1, and then hit enter. And now what we're going to do is define the network address range for that pool that we just created, and that range is going to be the network range is going to be on the 192.168.1.0 network with the subnet of the subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. And to do this, we can type in network space 192.168.1.0 space, and then the subnet mask would be 255.255.255.0. And now we need to define the DNS server. Define the DNS server by typing DNS dash server and give it the IP address 192.168.1.1, or wait, let's back up here, or 1.10, sorry. That's going to be the IP address for that. And we can hit enter, and you'll need to define the default gateway, and the default gateway is default dash router 192.168.1.1. And I believe that's all the steps, besides the lease duration that I mentioned before that Packet Tracer does not support currently. From here we can exit the terminal, so we'll hit exit, and then we can do a copy run start, I believe, from this mode if you would like. The reason why you would want to do a copy run start is it copies all the configuration that you did to the startup file. If you don't do the copy run start and go to shut off the router, then all the configuration changes that you made and all the dhcp changes that you made will be lost. So it's a good idea. This particular activity doesn't mention to do that, but it's a good idea to get in the habit of doing that, so you don't lose those changes. And then exit, and we'll close the terminal and go into the command prompt, and we will see what's going on as far as IP addressing goes. So we can use the ipconfig/release command, which there's quite a bit of people that are familiar with that, but there are some people that are not. And as you can see, there's no IP address or subnet mask or default gateway. And to assign DHCP to start handing out IP addresses, we can use the ipconfig space renew command. And as you can see on this particular window, it does have an IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and a DNS server now. So we are in business. We can also ping the local area network interface of the ISP router, I believe it is. So we'll do the 192.168.1.1. Had a little background noise in the background noise there for a minute. My brother and his girlfriend don't seem to be wanting to be respectful today. And all the packets are being sent and received. There's 0% loss. So it is sending packets back and forth throughout the network. So that, in a nutshell, is configuring a router as a dhcp server. Again, this is really handy to use if you're just wanting to have to go to one central location and change and make IP configurations rather than visiting every single device on the network and configuring IP changes. That concludes my video. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you do not understand this, it's okay. Do some research. I encourage you to watch other videos or watch this video over again, or contact me if you have any other questions. Thanks.